we've got such a pick and mix of things available to us in today's world, which is so beautiful and filled with so much gratitude that we've got these beautiful communities and offerings. And at the same time, for me, it's been a real remembrance of just how much wisdom my own body holds and just how much I can trust in that to lead the way.
Hi, welcome back to Soul Awakenings with Madiha Sosan podcast. Today we have Megg Kwan.
Hi everyone, I'm Meg from Manchester. I'm a former play and creative arts therapist. I used to work with children, young people and families, supporting them through childhood illness, loss, bereavement and grief. And I'm now a Somatic Embodiment Coach, supporting people to really soothe their nervous systems, to really arrive and cultivate more safety and trust within their bodies so that we can really arrive into the fullness of our humanness and embrace all that we are.
Hi Meg.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Yeah, well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Tell me about your name. So your second name is?
Kwan.
Kwan.
Yeah.
Right, tell me about it.
Yeah. So Kwan originates from China. My dad was born in southern China, and yeah, he moved to Hong Kong when he was 8 years old, got his first pair of shoes in Hong Kong, and lived there for a year before he embarked on the month-long ferry over to England. And yeah, later down the line, he met my mum in the UK. So yeah, my Chinese heritage.
Oh, amazing. Love it. So I'm thinking back where we met. We've never actually met. We connected on Instagram, and I have no idea why I have had you on Instagram, but I had you. And I saw one of your photos. It was not one of your videos. Sorry, the energy that you gave off was so beautiful. You had your hand on the heart and you were just singing and moving along to the rhythm of the song, and it was just beautiful, really beautiful. I was like, I want to get this, there's more to this woman. I want to get this woman on, because your energy is quite gentle, comes across very gentle, nurturing, loving. So tell me and listeners about who you are, a brief intro to who Meg is.
A brief intro. I'm not very good at doing brief. So I'm Meg from Manchester. I grew up in Manchester, and yeah, it's been quite a journey, but in brief, I essentially embarked on a career from a very, very young age. From the age of 14, I knew that I wanted to work with children. Knew that I wanted to venture into the world of child psychology, and just set my mind on it since I was age 14. And then, yeah, I ventured into psychology, trained to become a play and creative arts therapist. And that's something that I've been journeying with. I was there for 8 years as a play and creative arts therapist and loved my time working with children. And yeah, really started to venture into the coaching world and the embodiment world back in 2020, and have since reshaped many areas of my life. And yeah, still in many ways starting afresh. It feels like I've really turned my life upside down in many ways these past few years, especially. So yeah, it feels good to land here in this new chapter that I'm leaning into.
Oh, amazing. So what sort of therapy, what was involved in it? What did you do?
Yeah, so I trained in psychology, trained as a play and creative arts therapist. And so essentially that would look like me venturing to different schools all over Manchester, Cheshire, Yorkshire, and taking a whole toolkit of tools. It was like a little van, a little Toys R Us in a little van, and would set up a whole creative arts therapy room in different schools, and essentially would hold one-to-one therapy sessions for children. It was a holistic, integrative approach to therapy, so I would really meet each child exactly where they were. I took a non-directive approach, so would very much let the child lead the session and really meet them where they were, and to let them be the boss for 45 minutes. You know, so many children don't usually get a chance to take the lead you know, and to really feel empowered within that. And so it was really beautiful to meet all of these children and just let them show me the way.
It's like when we go into school, so I work with a company called Tales to Inspire, so we go into school and we have these programs where we interview the refugee kids and they create their own, we go through a storytelling workshop and they create their own stuff, and also that in there a lot of their hidden stories come out. Like the creativity is just like, it's incredible, like, you know, the things that they come up with, the wisdom that is, it's like it's buried, but in school they have to be like a certain way, you have to act a certain way, and we can't misbehave. But in that room and space, we give them creativity to create their own story and listen to other people's stories, and then that's when it comes out, right? Creativity, art is creative.
Exactly. And we could learn so much from the children. Like you said, once we strip everything back, really offer them a blank canvas and see what imagination wants to come from them, see their wildness, their creativity, before they then potentially felt like they had to squeeze all of that into a box. And so I loved working with the children in my former career, and a big part of my career was actually specialising in children with lifelong illnesses, working with childhood illness, bereavement, end-of-life care, and spent a lot of time working in children's hospices and travelling to different children's homes as well. And so, just like you said, to be able to meet children who potentially feel quite restricted in many ways or limited in many ways, to be able to sense what their natural form of communication was, you know, and to be able to give voice to their story was such a huge part of my life. It was one of my favourite chapters, and I can't say that I wouldn't go back to it at some stage in the future. Yeah.
Well, you can kind of integrate whatever you're doing now into it, because that's what we need, right? Like when we go into schools, it's not just the storytelling. There's another project that we do. We get them to emotionally regulate as well. So that's not something that's taught in schools a lot. Focus on that. So by the end, beginning of the sessions, they are so shy, don't want to say anything. But towards the end, after like exercises and yoga sequences, breath work that we do with them, towards the end, they lead that themselves. They lead meditation. They lead yoga. They lead even the meditation, which is amazing. And they just need a guidance. They just need a guidance to show them that this is how they can emotionally regulate. Because that's what it is. Even if they're getting bullied, they know what to do. Their body, they can fend for themselves.
Yeah, that resonates a lot, and it's something I feel so passionately about. Definitely given my own journey as well, in terms of not feeling as connected to my emotions, to my body, to that self-awareness, you know, when I was younger, and even into my adulthood, you know, it wasn't something that was readily available. And so if we can start with the little ones, you know, and really bring that emotional awareness in, like you said, so that they know, oh, this is how I'm feeling right now. Or, oh, something feels a bit different right now. I can sense my body. I can sense what's happening in my experience. Whereas my experience when I was younger, I was in my head a lot of the time, you know, as many of us are, like worrying about what I should be doing, worrying about what something should be like. And so I quickly started to question, who do I need to be, you know, to be worthy of connection, to be successful, to be worthy, full stop. Who do I need to be? Yeah. You know, and so I think it's so beautiful when we see the children liberating themselves in these ways, and we get to really, support them to stay connected to themselves, to trust in themselves as well.
Yeah, 100%. So we obviously just touching upon this childhood you talked about, you know, when you were younger. So tell me about your childhood. What was your environment like?
So I have many happy memories from childhood. I have many memories of laughter and playfulness in my childhood, particularly with my brother and my mum. I've got a brother who's 3 years older. I've got an older sister as well, and me and my brother grew up in the same household. And lots and lots of laughter, and at the same time there was a huge rift that happened in our family from the age of 11. As far as I can, remember, we went from being this really close-knit family in many ways, really loving, really playful, and then everything seemed to change overnight. And so my parents decided to separate when I was 11, and that just completely floored me. I just didn't see it coming whatsoever. And I don't know if you've seen the film Inside Out.
Oh yes, I have. Yeah,
one of my favourites. It was so interesting watching that as an adult, because it really helps me to develop a deeper perspective of my 11-year-old self, and how, just like in the film, all of my systems just shut down one by one. And I just went into a place of freeze. I went into a place of complete shutdown, and really started to hold a lot of emotion, hold a lot of grief that I didn't express. There was a lot of rage that I didn't express at the time. And growing up as a child, from the tender age of 4, I trained with my dad, who was a karate instructor for many years. And so we had this dual relationship growing up from the age of 4 to 14, where he was dad at home, but he was Sensei Kwan in the dojo. And I wasn't, God forbid if I'd have called him dad, I remember one time I did, and God love him, he was mortified because I'd called him dad in the dojo. And it was quite confusing as a child, and I'm learning more as I get older and as I start to raise my own awareness of my journey. It was quite confusing, to be met with this loving father at home in many ways, and then to enter into this new place where actually we're not father and daughter here, we're student and sensei, and from that very young age of 4, in those early years, I developed this rigidity in my body of, who do I need to be here? As Sensei Kwan's daughter, with eyes watching, like, who do I need to be to, not dishonor him, to really support his reputation and everything that he'd built in this beautiful community. And I put a lot of pressure on myself, I think, to be a certain way. I would compare myself to my older brother a lot growing up. He is a very intelligent man. And I would compare myself a lot and ask, who do I need to be to live up to the standards of the men in my life, And so, it became quite a journey in childhood of a lot of grief, holding on to a lot of grief. And then also feeling really restricted in my expression, even within that beautiful, playful, childlike essence that I had, that I see in pictures when I'm like 2, 3, 4. And I see this real free, curious spirit that's just so curious about life. She's got such a zest for life. And then it's interesting to look back over the pictures growing up. It's like, I notice she loses a bit of that zest as she starts to fit herself in these boxes, and as she continues to harbour this grief. And I went to create a whole career specialising in grief. It was an entire a whole 9-year journey of my career where I specialised in supporting other people with their grief.
Tell me about that. What was your experiences?
It was something for me that felt so familiar. For many people, they would ask, how do you do that job? How do you work with children who are experiencing illness, life-limiting illness, or families that are experiencing end of life, with their children, or such loss. And as awful as it sounds, it felt familiar for me to be with the grief, because I knew grief. I'd harboured it for so long, within myself. And so it felt like just where I needed to be. And I remember experiencing a close family friend. They experienced a childhood loss when I was around 16, and that stuck with me. It stayed with me. And I remember asking my mum at that time, how do I support this family? They're all mourning and grieving, and I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do. And I had such an innate desire of mine to help others and to empathise with them. And I remember my mum said, Meg, sometimes all you need to do is make the tea. And that just stuck with me. She said, just keep making the cups of tea. And I thought, how beautiful is that? That if all I do is offer the tea, then maybe that's enough. And funnily enough, my journey has been about that, about how can I how can I notice my desire to rescue this person in front of me, to rescue the family? How can I notice my desire to work till burnout, to overwork and overgive and try and rescue? How can I notice that within myself, soothe that within myself so that I can make this family a cup of tea and I can be there to hold space and listen without trying to get in the way, without trying to fix or change anything? How can I arrive with them exactly as they are and let them, just like with the children, let them show me the way and really trust within their own capacity to be with their own pain? You know, for so many years I thought it was my role to take their pain away because I wanted someone to take my pain away, you know, and I felt there was no one there to really hold my grief. I became the peacekeeper as a child, trying to keep everyone together and trying to please everybody. And so it's been a real journey of noticing, gosh, I've really been trying to rescue a lot of people my whole life. I've really been trying to rescue myself my whole life. And every child I met along the way, it was like meeting another part of me, meeting another part of my own inner child. And then when my journey became about working with teens, right there in front of me, I was meeting my own inner teen. And every step of the way, I was healing a deeper part within me and starting to liberate so many parts of myself and to really build my awareness of my own journey, why I went into a career in grief, why I burnt out in that career, trying to rescue and save everybody, put the world, you know, the weight of the world on my shoulders, and to really come back into deeper presence with what is actually wanting to be felt within me right now. How can I arrive with my inner child, my inner teen? How can I nourish her, liberate her, so that when I arrive in presence with others, I can meet them. Rather than trying to meet a need within me, I can arrive more full within who I am, more nourished within who I am, and meet them where they are.
Oh my God, like this resonates so much, but the fixer in empath and highly sensitive is quite high. It's like we're not all at that level where we can stand back and just watch the person that you love, like lives fall apart. It's like, right, how do if somebody's in that position right now, what tips would you give them not to get inside? Oh, I'm gonna save you. That right?
Yeah. It's a beautiful question. It's one that I continue to journey with each and every day, and it's a question that comes up a lot. I work with a lot of people, a lot of women who very much find that we all share that tendency to want to help, to want to rescue. And as with anything, my invitation in those moments for myself and for others, just been actually journeying with this with some of the women today, is to notice. To notice. Because how often might we find ourselves on that hamster wheel of life where we're not taking a fuller breath, we're breathing shallowly in our bodies, we're in that fight or flight response, being driven by a lot of fear of who do I need to be? How do I soothe this part of me? How do I fix that part of you? Because I'm uncomfortable potentially with that grief because I've not met that part of me yet. I can't be with your rage or your sadness because I've not met that part of me yet. And so the more that we can notice, oh, that's interesting that I responded like that, or I reacted like that. Most of my life, I was reacting rather than responding. And so the bridge for me with that is, how can I bring my awareness to how I'm actually choosing to react or respond in that moment? And so how can I notice the impulse to rush? How can I notice my breath and how that's changed? How can I notice the residual activation in my body after I've tried to rescue someone? So noticing for me is the key thing, because for so many years, most of my life, I was in the conceptual thinking part of me. I was in the thinking brain. And I was very disconnected from my body. You know, my basic needs. If I was cold, I wouldn't know. You know, I'd be at work, I'd be sweltering in the heat, and I still wouldn't have taken my jacket off because I was just so unaware of what my body was needing in that moment. If I was on my lunch break at work, I'd be rushing my food down, you know, not actually letting my body digest food. I wouldn't be listening to that natural desire for some fresh air throughout the day. If I needed to pee, I wouldn't even go to the toilet. It was like, oh, I'll just rush through this next thing, or I will just ignore that for a moment. I'll park that and I'll prioritize the emails instead. I'll just get that done. Or I'll just see one more family and then I'll have a bite to eat. And so it was this lifelong experience of abandoning my body, abandoning or not even recognizing basic bodily responses and needs. And so the more that I started to explore things like yoga and mindfulness, somatic awareness, coming back to the mind-body connection, it was like, oh, yeah, I am carrying a lot of tension in my shoulders right now. I am actually carrying a lot of tension in my jaw. I'm driving home like this with my shoulders up to my ears, tense. You know, I'm like frowning in my forehead. And unfortunately, I ignored the signals for so long that my body just started to scream out. It started to scream out at me in ways that I couldn't ignore it anymore. So heart palpitations, chest pains, all of these cues that my body wasn't okay. I was bulldozing through all of these basic needs. And so I started to get more and more curious with what would it be like to actually take a deeper breath right now? What would it be like to pause within my day and to ask, how am I actually doing right now? You know, if my body needed something in this moment, and if I was to let my body lead in this very moment, what might that be? And gradually I'd start to build in more nourishment, you know, recognizing that, oh, my body actually just wants to rest for a moment. Or I just want to take a sigh with the exhale of my breath and just lower the shoulders. And I actually just want to sit down for a moment and just be. And so gradually started to let my body show me the way, let my body lead me to the nourishment that I was actually desiring. And then we start to get into all the juicy stuff. But it starts with the nourishment. And for me, fundamentally, it's how do we meet ourselves from the bottom up? When we've been spending so much time in our heads trying to make sense of everything around us and logically work our way through life, it's like, how can we start from the bottom up? You know, from that real primitive part of the brain that's actually saying, I don't feel safe right now. You're rushing your lunch, you're not going to the toilet, something's not right because you don't feel safe to meet your basic needs.
Hey there, healers, wellness warriors, and holistic fans. Exciting news. We've just teamed up with Listening to Smile, a company all about healing through music. Imagine listening to music that doesn't just sound good, but actually makes you feel better. Now, here's the deal. Just listening to that music for 20 minutes a day could make a huge difference to your mind, body, and soul. And guess what? You get 20% off their awesome albums with the code Soul Awakenings. But wait, there's more. Want to improve your practice, earn more, and keep your work safe? Then this program is for you. It's all about opening up new possibilities and protecting what you create. So, are you ready to get started? Head over to their website, www.listeningtosmile.com, and let's begin your journey to feeling great. Don't forget to use the code Soul Awakenings to save 20% at checkout. All of these links and the code will be added to the description below. Let's awaken those souls together. So what you just said about the basic needs, it's really important, because while you were talking about you forgetting to nourish yourself, I'm still, even to this day, even though I've got better at it, I've been looking after my mom. That's my backstory, right? So looking after my mom's needs. And sometimes somebody needs to say, Madiha, have you eaten? Right? So the basic needs are so important for you to be independent in yourself, because I feel like I sometimes go into that freeze trauma response. Like a lot of times I didn't realize it. It was only when I went down to London and I met Gabby Logan at this podcasting event. And she was the only reason I was going, I'm going to fist bump Gabby Logan. That's what I'm going to do. But the whole journey, because I had like severe anxiety, the whole journey from Manchester to London to stay in the hotel was I was anxious throughout. I could not eat at all because I was so anxious. I felt sick. I felt really out of it. But for some reason, there was that part of me who's like, Gabby Logan's coming. Yes, I'm up there. And I'm fist bumping her. And then I go back into that freeze response again. So it's like going in and out of freeze response. But when you're in that state, you forget to eat, forget to look after yourself. And that I feel like that comes with a person who's an empath and sensitive, because you can get trapped in so many people and situation, environment energies that you forget your own.
Yeah, it's so common. It's so natural in today's world as well, especially like you said, when we've had our own experiences, our own adverse childhood or adulthood experiences, to then stay stuck and feel sometimes caught or stagnant in that cycle. And in today's modern busy world, it might not seem that we always have time to press pause throughout the day and to actually feel safe enough to slow down in today's busy world. And that's a big part of what we explore, you know, in this embodiment journey and in these sessions and explorations together. A big part of actually what I offer in these spaces is our opportunity to relearn and rediscover how would it be to pause for a moment and to actually offer myself some nourishment. And so how many of us have landed on a Zoom call and we're like rushing around, we've just come from here, we're rushing on to the next thing. It's like, oh, let me just grab this, and we're all scattered. I've landed on most Zoom calls in that state before. And so the more that I started to support other women and journey with other women, I started to ask this question of what do I need right now? You know, what do I actually need to be in full presence with this person in front of me right now? And so I started to weave that into my offerings. And so if we're ever on a session or a call together or ever journeying together, my initial invitation is for us to take 4 minutes of nourishment at the start of any time together. And for that 4 minutes, we let the body lead. And that's something I picked up within my training within somatics. It's like, how can we drop out of the mind for a minute, notice, who am I telling myself that I need to be right now? What am I telling myself that I should have done? Where am I telling myself I'm behind? And what would it be to come back to our basic needs of, am I hungry right now? Do I want to go and get a banana? You know? Do I need a wee right now before I go on this call? You know, are my feet cold? Do I need an extra blanket, an extra layer? And the more that we approach ourselves with compassionate curiosity with those very basic needs throughout the day, the more we're starting to cultivate this awareness within our experience and our nervous system that, oh, she's listening to me now. She's listening to what I need. She's creating these little safety cues. She's actually taking the time to keep herself warm, to nourish herself, to feed herself. Maybe it's safe to pause. Maybe it's safe to slow down, because would she really be pausing to eat slowly? Would she be breathing more fully within to herself if there was a threat here? And so we're sending these beautiful cues of safety to our body through this daily nourishment, so that gradually we can start to explore other nervous system states rather than being stuck in freeze or in that fight or flight state. We start to expand our capacity to be with more nourishment day to day.
Which is really important, because like if you don't get that, like we said, get that right, we might end up in relationships that's quite abusive, right? So what are your thoughts on being an empath, sensitive, the people fixer, pleaser, getting into dynamics of codependent relationships?
Whew. It's a big one. It's a big topic, and something that I've been journeying with a lot myself. Codependent relationships in the sense of romantic relationships I've journeyed with. I've also journeyed with codependent relationships in family dynamics and how that plays out. And again, for me, it's been this real journey of how can I bring my awareness to who I'm telling myself I need to be in this relationship, How can I bring my awareness to the roles that I'm adopting in this relationship? My mindset, my beliefs about myself in this relationship. And something that I weave into a lot of my work is the drama triangle, which for me has been transformational, bringing my awareness to these different states of feeling in victimhood. I've spent most of my life feeling in a victim mentality of, why has this happened to me again? Why is life happening to me? Why has this happened again? And finding myself in that helpless, stuck cycle that felt very disempowering. And also fluctuating between these different states. You know, the rescuer, feeling like I want to be able to help others, to save others, to rescue and take away their pain. So I'd fluctuate between the victim, the rescuer at work. I was the victim at home, I was the rescuer at work. And then also finding this sense of the persecutor, the perpetrator, of that coming out in my relationship sometimes as well within myself, of you did that to me, and blaming others. And so the more I could bring my awareness to not only what roles am I exploring and experiencing within myself, but how are these residing within my body? And so if I'm feeling helpless right now, how does that feel in my body? And I realised through my somatic journey that I'd been walking with my head down for most of my life, looking down to the floor. My shoulders.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So many of us, head down, the phones encourage the head down, the laptops, the shoulders are rounded, we're small, you know. And it was on one of my somatic experiencing retreats that I went on, the facilitator reflected back to me as I was giving voice to some of my life and my journey. She said, Meg, what's happened? What's happening in your body right now? I didn't know what was happening in my body. I didn't even know how to respond to that question because I was so disconnected and stuck in my trail of thought. And she said, what's happening in your body right now? And she'd asked me that over and over again. And she reflected, you've stopped breathing. And I was holding my breath through fear. You know, as I was giving voice to these parts of my life, I was stuck in this fear response. And my shoulders had rounded, and she used to come behind me and just gently rub my spine to encourage me to lengthen into my spine again, because I was so collapsed. I'd gone into a real collapsed state. And that's how I moved through life, feeling helpless, feeling like the weight of the world was on my shoulders, feeling like life was happening to me. And so when I started to explore, why did I journey into the therapy world? What was it that I resonated with here? Did I resonate to the helplessness? Did I resonate with the grief, the sorrow? Am I actually living in grief? And a big part of my journey was and is to embrace all aspects of life, all aspects of our humanness, including the grief, the sadness, the rage, the jealousy, the joy, the pleasure. But to become aware of, where am I keeping myself stuck? Where am I choosing to stay? And I chose to be in grief. I chose to actually stay there. And so the more that I ventured into the world of coaching in 2020, it was like, wow, this is empowering. This is actually encouraging me to take ownership, accountability, like self-ownership, self-leadership of my own life. It reminded me that I do have a choice, and that I'm choosing to stay in these different areas in some ways of my life. And in relationships, it was huge for me. I would always approach relationships with, what have you done to me? Or approach relationships with, what do I need from you? What can you offer to me? And how can you help me? You know, in that kind of victim mentality that I was in at the time. And when I started to venture into what they call the empowerment dynamic, the victim within me then became the creator. I became the creator of my own life. I started to lift my shoulders and lift my chin a little bit more, and open in my heart and my chest, breathe more fully into my belly, my womb space. I started to take up more space. I started to give more space to, what do I really desire from life? And then the rescuer became the coach. Rather than rescuing others, it was like, how can I ask myself, what is it that I'm really desiring in life? What is it that I really want to feel? What is it that I want to liberate and fully embrace? And how can I be a mirror for other people to ask themselves that same question? How can I offer myself loving challenge rather than being the blamer or the persecutor or the controller within the relationships? How can I actually challenge what would feel most loving right now for me? You know, how can I take ownership so that when I'm meeting somebody else in a relationship, there's that awareness there of what roles are playing out here, what stories, what narratives are we living by, and what am I actually telling myself that I need from this other person, and how can I empower myself to nourish that within me? That when I meet this person, I'm meeting them in a way and I'm loving them in a way that sets them free and sets me free.
Yeah.
So that can arise.
So it's, oh God, it's so triggering when you're in that role of, it's like, it's really hard to explain because I've been anxious attached most of my life. So it's really hard to explain when you're in that relationship. You're also very, oh, the pain is so intense. If you're not done that work on yourself, it's so intense. And been trying to get to that stage where I feel like I've done a lot of work within over the years, where to a stage where separate the other person from myself, and that's it, just leave it as it is, right? Whereas before it was the intense pain of no, I need this person to be close.
Yeah, it resonates a lot. I've been on my own journey particularly since 2015, when I first realised I was at that time highly anxiously attached, and how that played out in my relationships throughout my teens, throughout my 20s, really taking me to some dark places, you know, to the point where some days I didn't want to be here anymore because it was that intense. The desperation, the need within me to feel loved, the need within me to avoid feeling abandoned or rejected, it was so intense and so overwhelming that I didn't know a way out of that. And I feel so grateful that I ventured onto my personal discovery journey back in 2015. And it's been a real deep journey of bringing my awareness to that part. So much so, nurturing those parts of me, meeting those parts of me, tending and nourishing those parts within myself. I then actually fluctuated to the other side and became highly avoidant.
Usually happens because you got freedom on the other side. Yeah.
I went and traveled the world. I was living my best life. I was free. I was liberated. And I was like, wow, I don't need somebody to complete me. I am living my best life. And it became this time of my life where I was so empowered and so confident and resilient. And I was so excited that life can be this good when I'm on my own. You know, wow, if this is what life can be like, then I don't need to be scared of being on my own anymore. And whilst that was a beautiful part of my life and served such a purpose, I then realised that I was entering into new relationships from that more guarded, strong, hyper-independent woman energy that I don't need.
Protect that. I need to protect this freedom of mine.
Exactly. I don't need anybody. I've got all my ducks in a row. I've got no emotions. I'm fine. You know, and I recognise now, and I send that part of me, the previous parts of me, so much love, because they were always trying to nurture and protect me in one way, shape or form, in the best way they knew how. And so then over the past, I would say the past 6-7 years or so, it's been a journey of how can I meet that part of me that actually knows that I'm worthy of love, that doesn't have to guard herself and protect her heart. How can I re-parent those parts of me so that I know I'm so worthy of that love and I'm so able to meet those parts of me. And so previously I would be overwhelmed by I am anxious, or I am frustrated, or I am overwhelmed. And a big part of my work is bringing in the parts piece of like, which part of me is feeling anxious right now? Because there's also another part of me that can feel the nourishment of this cup of tea. There's also another part of me that feels really excited about today, you know? And so it's like, oh, which part of me? And so it helps me to take a bird's eye view and helps me to remember that, I'm here as the observer, meeting all of these different parts. It doesn't define who I am. And I have a choice here of how I meet that part of me. And so the more that I met the anxious parts, the avoidant parts, I'm really softened into my experience and asked, how do I actually want to be in this moment? You know, what do I actually deep within my heart yearn for? To allow myself to long for something again. And gosh, was that scary to open up my heart again. Gosh, I think I said the words, I don't even want to look at another man. I was so, my heart was so guarded, so hurt through so many years, you know, of playing that anxious avoidant dance. And it was a real journey of self-nurture, self-nourishment, self-healing, to be able to know that no matter what happens in life, I'm here. I've got me. And I can nourish myself. I can protect myself if it's needed. I can stand up for myself. I'm embodying my core values and living each and every day in integrity, trying to return to those core values for me. And I'm cultivating trust within myself through those daily acts of devotion, those basic needs. So that when that situation happens and my heart drops, it's like, oh, is this person going to leave? Or when that part happens and I question, oh, actually, I'm desiring more here. I'm desiring to open more. Can I meet myself there? Can I trust that I can support myself through that rather than relying on another person? And so when I meet the other person, then it doesn't mean to say that I don't have any needs. It means to say that I'm over here honouring and meeting my needs, and this is how I'd love to be met. This is what I'd love to receive. As I'm taking leadership of that for myself, this is how I'd really love to be met by others.
I think that's really beautiful, because I feel like I could resonate with you. The dance, it's been intense, like, you know, from swinging from one to the other, to back and forth and back and forth, to point. It's like the way I explain it, you know, most people think about generally balance in life, right? Most people think, well, you're too extreme here, you're too extreme there. So in order to have that balance, you have to swing both ways for it to just come into, oh, okay, get it, learning from it, and then you just kind of integrate it, right? Yeah. I think that's what happens with anxious and an avoidant, where you get to a space where you're not triggered, neither of you are triggered, and you get your own needs met.
Yeah, and I think I love this, you know, this duality piece around like the balance and the yin and the yang, the masculine, the feminine, you know, these real ebbs and flows of life within ourselves, within relationship. And a big part of my journey has been, how do I meet the triggers? You know, how do I meet the resistance? So much of my journey, I thought, I need to get past this. So much of my journey, I thought, I need to heal so that I don't feel anxious anymore. And so that I don't feel jealousy, or that I don't feel rage, or that I don't feel needy. And the more that I realized, and the more that I met myself with compassion, it was this acknowledgement of, the more that I'm trying to get rid of these parts of me, the louder they're becoming. The more reluctant that they are, that I'm not leaving yet because you're not accepting me. And so the more that I learned to embrace these parts of me and to embrace the triggers as well, which it's not easy. It's not always easy. It continues to this very day to be a challenge. When something is right there in front of you and it's confronting you, for me, my invitation there is, how can I notice how my body's responding right now? How can I notice the activation, the very natural activation within my system? Because I'm a human and I've had lots of experiences and I can't get rid of those parts of my past. And so how can I meet that part of me that's activated? And how can I bring my awareness to, what story am I telling myself right now? What is this experience reminding me of about my past? And so the sentence sometimes that I offer myself is, just like when. I'm feeling this, a part of me is feeling really worried right now, really scared, because it's reminding me of when this happened, just like when this happened. And then so I can come back to that awareness of what's present in my body right now. How can I arrive in the presence of the here and now, reminding myself that this isn't the same situation as it was in the past for so many reasons. Yeah, there might be similarities and beautiful messages there that, you know, want to come through. And at the same time, how can I arrive in presence with me now, recognizing that I'm a much fuller version of myself now. I've grown in so many ways, I've expanded in so many ways. And so how can I meet that trigger when it comes? And how can I say to that part of me, it's okay that you're here? What are you trying to show me right now? How can I meet that part of me with asking, what does that part of me need right now? How can I meet it there, soothe that part? And every time I meet it and I welcome it, I notice that naturally it starts to dissipate. Just like with a child, you know, or if we had a small puppy in the corner of the room and it was barking away at us, if we kept ignoring it, chances are it would bark louder and louder, or it would just fall into a bit of a collapse of, you're not hearing me, you know, but it would still be there. And so the more that we meet that puppy, you know, with this gentle, like, it's okay, I'm here, we might start to notice that actually it starts to shout less, you know, and we start to learn how to navigate and be with these triggers as part of our human experience.
It is, and it's really important to, because sometimes when we get into the spirituality kind of aspect, there's so many things fly about where people say, well, we got to heal this, we got to heal that, we got to heal this. And it's like, no. We don't have to do anything, let it present itself to you. You know, we don't have to forcefully go out because everybody around us is having, like, you know, having psychedelics. So we don't have to forcefully go out. If it's not your journey yet, don't force it. Don't force that healing. Don't think that, oh, I got to fix my anxious attachment now and I'm going to go on 10,000 different courses to do so. You're learning, but you're not doing.
Yes. Yeah. Gosh. That has been such a huge part of my life. I was the woman who wanted every certificate. I wanted every course, every retreat. I wanted to do all of the things. Reflecting on my former career, I wanted to tick every box and have every qualification, every certificate under my name and learn all of the things. And when I entered into my spiritual healing journey, self-discovery journey, it became this sense of, like, just like you said, doing all of the things. How can I heal this part of me? And it became another thing of doing to myself, doing to my body, to the point where I pushed my body to its limits. I'd gone through a really difficult year, the most challenging year yet, which was filled with a lot of anxiety, grief, a lot of health anxiety. And I wanted to heal my heart so much that I was doing breath works 3-4 times a week, intense emotional release breath works. I was drinking cacao every single day, you know, I was doing cold water swims, and my body, it was like it was saying, what are you doing to me? Like, just what's going on? Slow down, just slow it down a little bit. And I realized that I'd been living most of my life in this sense of pushing, of striving, of forcing, of trying to make something happen, of trying to get to an end goal. And so the more that I deepened into my embodiment journey and returning to these basic, beautiful, nourishing needs of myself, it was like relearning in my body and really learning how to listen more deeply, to let my body lead the way and to return to our organic intelligence. You know, if we have a cut or a wound on our hand, if we keep trying to scrub it every single day, put ointments on it every single day, trying to get in its way, put plasters on every few minutes, chances are we're going to delay the body doing what it does best, which is to heal and to return to a place of balance, of homeostasis. And it's like this sense of, oh, what might it be like if I let my body lead? If I actually explore, how is my body when I'm forcing and pushing the next big release, the next big spiritual awakening, or the big next transition? My body's actually tense when I'm in that space. My body's actually feeling in a fearful place of reaching for something, forcing. And so the more that I can come back to letting my body lead, my body starts to soften, my breath starts to deepen, and my body starts to return to, oh, I can just do what I need to do now. I can start to return to what I know what to do best, which is heal. You know, to really trust in the body again became such a journey of mine after so many years of my body not trusting me to listen. It became a real dance. And I remember last winter, I spend about a month writing a letter every day to my body. Just like, dear body, what do you need right now? What do you want to show me?
Oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah, just learning how to listen. You know, we've got such a pick and mix of things available to us in today's world, which is so beautiful and filled with so much gratitude that we've got these beautiful communities and offerings. And at the same time, for me, it's been a real remembrance of just how much wisdom my own body holds and just how much I can trust in that to lead the way.
You talked a bit about opening your heart, right? If there are any listeners who feel like they have their heart closed, how do they go about opening it?
I love that question. Yeah, how do we go about opening our hearts? The first word that comes to me in my body is softening. I spent most of my life feeling so rigid in the body and feeling very fearful, you know, not wanting to feel hurt again, not wanting to put myself in a situation that I might feel vulnerable and exposed or open to rejection. And for me, it became this beautiful journey with my relationship coach and my whole journey with relationship of my intention, rather than meeting somebody, was to see how I could soften my heart again. How can I cultivate experiences within myself, within my journey, within my life, where I feel able to start to soften? And so for me, that was really starting to meet the parts of myself that were scared, to really give space to those parts, to really receive support where it was needed, and to also deepen into my own practices, whether that was through meditation, journaling, movement, exploring all of these ways that I can begin to meet these different parts of myself. And for me, I discovered that there was a huge part of me that was terrified of getting it wrong again. There was a big part of me that didn't trust in myself, didn't trust in my intuition, because there'd been parts where I'd not listened to my intuition before, or where I'd listened to it and then something had happened and I became very mistrustful of myself and of life. And so for me, it became a journey of, how can I notice where I'm feeling fearful? Where can I notice where I'm closing myself off? And how can I begin to nurture these parts of me to sense, oh, okay, yes, it makes sense why you feel scared because this happened. Or it makes sense why you're fearful of this because you're not wanting that to happen again. And so it really was an invitation for me to deepen into, where had I already been? What had my heart already experienced? You know, what had my heart endured already? And how could I give space to that? Rather than rushing into another relationship in the hope that that would fix it, how could I actually intentionally carve out space to be in relationship with myself, so that I could begin to give space to these parts of me for them to be heard? And the more that those parts of me were heard in different ways, the more that they felt able to start to venture into the unknown, to start to explore, how might it be, you know, now that we're working together and we've got this shared understanding, me and my heart, of what I'm needing and what feels scary, and how I can nourish myself and support myself through that, through self-soothing, self-regulation. How can I start to expand a little bit into what my desires might actually be? But before I could even contemplate opening up my heart again, I really needed to meet myself within my tenderness, to feel what was wanting to be felt, to feel what was there.
Amazing. That's really beautiful, because even when we manifest things, is through the heart space, because your heart is like energetically, apparently, according to, I think it's Brendan Gregg, it's on Gaia TV, that comes on a lot, and he was talking about the heart space, not from the logical part. The heart space is more important because it holds that power. It's like it's that strong channel to the universe, out into the universe. But if you cut that, you are blocking yourself from greatness.
Yeah, Yeah.
Right.
And again, that shows up in our bodies.
Yeah.
You know, if we're closed in our heart, how are we collapsed in our chest, in our shoulders? Are we keeping our head down, you know, because we don't want to open up our heart through fear of being hurt again? And it becomes this invitation for us to explore through all of these different experiences. And I went on a whole journey myself with coaching, with breath work, with cacao, all of these different experiences. And again, the more that I let my body lead and show me the way and to set the tone and to set the pace, the more that I listened to my body, the more that my heart could begin to soften. Because the more I was trying to force something or to push to make something happen, my heart was contracted because I was trying to bypass what actually wanted to be felt. And for me, it was a journey of really acknowledging the sadness, the grief, acknowledging and giving voice to the rage and the feeling of injustice, and giving space to the parts of me that needed forgiveness. Forgiveness for others and myself.
Yeah, it's really interesting because the body looking down and going inwards, we learned that from, and even in public speaking course, where the difference, they got us on stage and they got us standing as in like just really shy looking down, and the difference in our confidence. And then they got us to stand up in superhero pose, and we were just standing. Yeah, you could tell standing there for about 5 minutes, you can really tell the difference. So whenever I go on stages, I deliberately go on stage, walk from left to right, get in the center and just stand there before I go into, and people just look at me like, what is she doing? Because where is she going? Which way is she going? And also because people they can channel your confidence, and it somehow they feel confidence within themselves as well. They get drawn to that energy.
Yeah. And I loved that you brought that in, because just like with the superhero, you know, the power pose, how might it be to meet our hearts with that same presence in our bodies? And so noticing, you know, if we're trying to open up our heart, how does it feel to bring a hand to the heart on the chest? You know, to actually just come into contact with that part of us and to notice, oh gosh, I am quite tense, or I am holding on, or that feels quite vulnerable or tender to do that. One of the practices that I explored was using a yoga bolster, lying that on the floor and actually lying my back onto the bolster and letting my heart open physically, letting my chest and my shoulders actually melt down to the ground and open up my heart, and to actually place a hand on the heart there to feel what's there. Just today I have this with me, which I carry around a lot where I go, my hefty rose quartz, and it reminds me to soften into my heart, you know, to feel, to pause, and rather be in the logical thinking brain of like, what does my heart actually desire in this moment? If I was being really truthful with myself right now, what does my heart truly desire? And can I give myself permission to meet myself there for a moment?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing. This interview has been amazing. I just wanted to ask you we got rapid fire questions. I want to ask you, can you give any tips? How do you ground yourself? Can you give any tips in regards to what are the things that our listeners can do to ground their energy when it's so intense, especially when it's all kicking off in the planets and it's all, everything's up in the air, situationships. How can you ground?
A beautiful question I continue to ask myself every single day, again, like in this busy world, you know, like you said, there's so much going on, and it's such an important question that so many women ask today. And for me, how can we return to the simplicity of the now? And so if we're wanting to feel more grounded within ourselves, how can we come back to self-connection right here in this moment? And for me, sometimes it's as simple and as powerful as coming back to our senses. And so if we're in that train of thought and we're thinking about tomorrow or yesterday, so often we might not actually be taking in our environment. So often I'd enter into a room, have a conversation and not notice what was actually in the space because I was in that fear response. And so next time you walk into a room, taking that moment to actually look up at the ceiling, to look down towards the floor, to look around at eye level, and to notice what colours can I see around me right now? What shapes can I see? What textures can I see? And then coming back to the sense of, oh, can I feel the textures on my clothes right now? Can I actually feel the softness of my skin? Can I actually notice my breath in this moment and invite a fuller breath into my chest and my belly? Spent most of my life breathing in my chest, shallow breathing, which just led to this perpetual cycle of anxiety. And so to actually demonstrate to my body, it's okay for me to notice what's in my environment right now. It's okay for me to take a fuller breath. And one of the things I connect to each and every day is, can I sense into all four corners of my feet right now? And so can I plant my feet onto the ground, onto the earth beneath me, wherever I am, if I'm on the train, if I'm on my way to work, if I'm here in this room, can I sense my little toe, my big toe? Can I sense the left side of my heel, the right side of my heel? Can I sense the points of contact that my body is making with the ground and the chair right now? And we call it concrete feedback in the somatic world. And it's this sense of, oh, I'm here. I'm here, my body's here in this moment. I'm here in this present moment, in the here and now. And it's safe to be here right now. And we get to sense, it's almost like that somatic feedback, where the body can sense the chair beneath our sitting bones, the points of contact that we can feel underneath our feet. It's almost giving that information to the body. That sense at the end of the day where you sit on the sofa and your body just goes, oh. Yeah. So, that sigh of relief, I can relax. Or that feeling when someone comes and gives you a big bear hug and your whole body, or you just burst into tears. Your whole body just goes, oh, because it feels itself being held. And so this concrete feedback is something that I explore myself and with others every single day, is how can we receive this deep information that's available to us in the here and now when we're in connection with our mind and our body, that sends a signal to our body that I'm actually really held in this space right now. I've got this lovely cushion that's supporting my back. I've got this chair beneath my bum. I can feel the ground and I can feel the earth holding me. I weave in nature a lot into the work that I do. And so how can we feel almost as if in any given moment we trusted that Mother Earth was holding us, that we could let everything go. We could let our whole body go and she'd hold us. And it's that same sense that a child or a baby receives when they're being rocked, and they're being soothed. They're receiving that rhythmic, repetitive, bilateral movement that sends that signal to the brain that, oh, it's okay. And so that movement is something that I incorporate a lot into the grounding as well. A simple sway of the body from left to right. Just left to right, left to right. It's sending that signal to the body and the brain that, oh, I know what's happening next. She's going left, and then she's going right. And then she's going to do it again, just like a baby. And then before we know it, we're not in that fear response because it's like, oh, we're soothing ourselves. And so sound can be a big thing as well. How often do we hold our breath? How often are we holding our yawns?
Yeah. Mustn't
yawn in this meeting. God forbid I actually yawn. Something I'm working on, which my partner actually laughs a lot at the moment, is how I stifle my sneezes. He's like, I really want you to embrace your sneeze. Fully let it out, So that's something I'm working on. I've mastered the yawn. It's the sneeze that's yet to come. And it's this sense of like, how can we give ourselves permission to soothe ourselves through our movement, through our touch? We're so disconnected. I say I have been most of my life disconnected to touch. How can we offer touch, movement? How can we embrace our exhale? Stimulating our vagus nerve and really sending that soothing signal to the body that, oh, she's taken a fuller breath. It's like, oh, a sigh with the exhale. She must be safe right now because she's got space to let it all out, And so coming back to senses, sound, movement, touch, these very basic experiences that are readily available to us in any given moment, wherever we're at in our lives, wherever we're at day to day. Start simple, I would say, really arrive where you are.
Beautiful. I love that. I really love that. Thank you for that. I've actually got rapid fire questions for you.
I'm curious how my nervous system will respond to rapid fire questions. We'll see.
Oh, you can use that grounding technique right now. You got your rose quarters, fine. Okay. What is your definition of universe, life, God?
Trust. Deep surrender.
Beautiful.
Trust.
Beautiful. What do you think happens when you die?
Surrender. Spaciousness. Trust. Again.
Nice.
Feels like a deep trust that, our essence, that life continues to flow,
I love it.
continues to be.
I love it. Because you have no choice to surrender, really. You're dead. You're gone.
Yeah. Surrendering into the void, trusting in the
But
void.
there's also a process, isn't it? Like from leaving your physical body to the other realm, there is that in between of surrender. You have to.
Yeah. And returning to love. For me, it's like, can love ever die? Or does it change form? Does it change shape?
Beautiful. What's the lesson that took you the longest to learn?
Oof. That it's okay to be human. It's okay to be imperfect.
Oh, that's a big one.
It's okay to be messy.
Yeah. Yes. Oh,
It's okay to be chaotic. Yeah.
in flow, out of flow.
Exactly. To be human.
Beautiful. Do you believe that people with horrible beginnings end up creating the best futures?
So many questions about the horrible beginnings, the best futures. Yeah. For me, one of my favorite sayings is from Mulan. And it's the flower that blooms in adversity is the most beautiful and rarest of all.
Love that.
Live my life by that saying.
Beautiful. Oh, I love that. That lotus flower as well. Like, yeah.
I've got the lotus flower right here
Oh, nice.
with me every day.
I love it. I'm fully in present moment when?
Taking a sigh with the breath, surrendering into my body, letting my body melt into softness with a cup of tea, and connecting with others from the heart.
Beautiful. The world needs more of what?
Love. Deep, fierce, courageous, soft love.
Yes. Oh, yeah. All in one. Can we get that, please? The next partner we have. So what is that one message you would share with someone who's going through adversity, hard times, dark night of the soul, spiritual awakening, and they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel? What is that one message that you would share with them?
That it's okay to be where they are right now. That everything that they're feeling, everything that they're experiencing is valid. And that very pain that they're in right now might just end up being their gold.
Oh, yes. The gems inside you. Right. How can people contact you?
I would say the best way to contact me right now is through Instagram. I hang out on there a lot. You'll often find me diving deep into my emotional world and sharing it on Instagram. And I love to connect on there. I have a beautiful free Facebook community group called The Embodied Way, so you can find me on there as well. And there's lots of different ways we can connect. I have a beautiful weekly newsletter called The Weekly Embrace, which is where we embrace everything that we've spoken about today. And so I'll be sharing more on there and sharing upcoming ways that we can journey together and explore all of this together in there.
Lovely. I love it. Oh, thank you so much, Meg.
Thank you
for coming on. It's been, I think this interview has been like, it's actually grounded me, like interviewing you as well. So thank you so much. I mean, it's thank you for sharing your journey. And all the one message that keeps opening your heart and listening to your body is what's been radiating. from you. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been such a gift. It's been a good practice for my own grounded and nervous system today. And I feel so grateful for you inviting me on and giving me space to reflect on all of this. It's been such a pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of our award-winning podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. You can follow us on Instagram, Madiha Sosan 1, and YouTube, Madiha Sosan, for more content. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your family and friends, and let us know your thoughts on social media. A special thanks to our sponsors, the Resonance Center, for making it possible to use this beautiful space, and Razia's Bonton Salon for my amazing shiny hair and makeup. You can find this and other episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Thank you once again for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.